Buying a cheap Breitling. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let me rewind for a second. About this time last year, I really wanted to get into Breitling, but with watch prices going up and up and up, I noticed that there was a lot of good value at the lower end of the market. Whether you're looking at Breitling, Tag Heuer, Amiga, any of the legacy Swiss brands, there seems to be a lot of good offers around. So for quite a few weeks I saved up and I spent countless hours stalking various Breitlings on Chrono24, on eBay, and with local dealers here in Canada. I wanted to buy something for around $1,200 US, and I wanted to buy it from a dealer for the peace of mind that I don't need to worry about the authenticity of the watch, and I should get everything working, operational, and if I have any issues I can go straight back to them. During my searches I noticed that the best value seems to be in Japan. I'm based in Canada, if you didn't already know, and therefore I'm paid in the Canadian dollar, which is a terrible currency if you're purchasing from the US or from Europe or from most other countries, to be honest with you. So I found a Breitling model that I really wanted, the Colt Chronoocean, and the reference number is A53350. This is a smaller chronograph. It's got 100 meters, or it did have 100 meters of water resistance once upon a time. It was sold from 99 until 2001. Seems like there was a lot of them sold though, there's definitely no shortage. It's a really smart looking watch. It's quartz, so I figured buying something that's 20 or so years old, that won't be a problem. It's a great place to start, and I found an example in Japan with a reputable dealer that'd been selling watches for years and had really good ratings. This was on Chrono24 in the end. I took the plunge, I clicked buy, and I was so excited to receive my Breitling. Fast forward a week, and this Breitling Colt Chronoocean had arrived from Japan, and I cannot tell you how excited I was when I opened the box and I saw it there, and it was like all my Christmases had come at once. What a beautiful looking watch, what a perfect size, and how awesome is it that I finally own a Breitling, a brand that means a lot to me. And that should be where the story ends. Me happy with my Breitling, which I got for a great price. By the way, taxes where I am around about 5%, so it was roughly another $100 US, including the fees that I paid on top of the original price to get it here. Something to watch out for in other parts of the world. I know you can get stung much heavier than I do, 15-20% plus fees. It makes a big difference to the value proposition here. Day 2 with my Breitling, and I noticed that the date window doesn't look right. It seems like the date is not centered in the window, and when I shake the watch, the date window is moving. What happened is one of the dial feet had sheared and it needed to be replaced. I emailed the dealer, and frustratingly they weren't really interested. So I emailed Chrono24 for help, and they said I could return the watch for a full refund, which the dealer wasn't willing to offer. But fair play to Chrono for forcing that option, which was only correct. Or I could get a repair done and agree the repair with the dealer. So I took it to a local watchmaker, I had a new dial foot attached, and I got the watch back, and the dealer had paid the money, no cost to me, and now once again everything should be great, and that should be the end of the story. But it isn't. Fast forward another 2 weeks, going to operate the chronograph as I do every time I put a pizza in the oven. I noticed something was broken, and this time it was going to be on me to repair it. Let me give you some context first on how this movement works. So this is a quartz chronograph, but it's got a lot of mechanicals inside of it as well. This is a 27 joule quartz chronograph, so there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of gearing. It's not just a battery and a little bit of circuitry. The way it should work, when you push the start button on the chronograph, the first hand closest to you ticks along, and that is measuring your seconds. Underneath that is an elapsed minutes hand, which with each 60 seconds will tick forward once to count up to 60 minutes. The top left hand subdial is counting your hours, And the top right subdial, close to the 2 o'clock, is counting split seconds in tenths. And normally when you stop the chronograph, you'll get a readout of the split seconds. And this time, when I operate the chronograph, nothing. This subdial in the top right hand corner was dead. No reading. I tried resetting it. No, nothing was working. This time fixing the watch would be on me. Now the ETA 251.262 movement is discontinued. There's still new old stock available, and perhaps the most economical option would have been to pick up a new old stock movement, take it to a local watchmaker again, have the dial and the hands put onto this replacement movement, have it all buttoned back up and given back to me, and continue on with the watch. But at this point I was so fed up with the issues with this watch, and I really wanted it to be as perfect as it could be. So I took the perhaps financially stupid decision to send it back to Breitling for a full service and overhaul. I boxed the watch up, sent it off to Breitling in Toronto, and then they send it over to Switzerland once you accept the quote. So what Breitling wanted to do with the watch was they wanted to replace the crystal because it had scratches on it, and it did, with a brand new piece of jewel AR sapphire. They wanted to replace all the gaskets and restore the water resistance, which I was pretty happy with. And they also wanted to strip down the movement, clean everything, and re-lubricate all of the moving parts, test all the electronics, and repair anything that needed repairing, such as the circuitry for that split second subdial. And finally, of course, they had seen that the old dial had been repaired, and Breitling were not happy with this, so they wanted to replace the dial with a brand new stock item. And to be honest, getting these dials is so difficult. It seems like only going through Breitling can you get these replacement parts. They're not freely available on the market. So I agreed to all of this and a polish as well. This is not a high value vintage watch, and I wanted it to look great, and I'm happy to have it polished. I know for some of you, you'd like to keep the scratches as they are, and I respect that. But for me, a full restoration was absolutely in order. So I can't find an exact invoice for this work, and it's no longer available in my Breitling service account. But off the top of my head, I believe it was about $700 US to get this work done, which is a pretty staggering sum considering it's a 20-year-old quartz watch. I'm happy to say that when the watch came back, I opened the box, everything was perfect. The watch looked way better than I expected. They'd done an amazing job polishing it. The new crystal was absolutely superb from almost every angle. It's invisible. If you've had a Breitling, you'll know they're some of the best crystals in the watch industry, especially when they're not scratched. And with the water resistance back, it could be worn and enjoyed as it was back when it was produced in 99 or 2000. You can go swimming with it, you can go diving with it, you can use it and abuse it. And so despite the cost, which if I sell it, I'll never get that cost back, I'm well aware of that. Despite that decision and the eventual cost, I finally have a Breitling Colt Chronoocean that I'm really, really proud of. Now I think that you are all probably smarter than me, and if you received a watch that was faulty within the first few days, you'd probably send it back and get the full refund and just pick up a different option and have everything right from the offset, which is perhaps what I should have done. But I was a little bit stubborn with this one, and it did cost me quite a lot, but I don't have any regrets. I'm so proud of this watch now, and I have no doubt it will give many more years of reliable service and keep on looking fantastic, which is exactly what I want. I want this watch to stay within my family and be passed down from generation to generation and essentially be a bit of a family heirloom, starting off with my dear old dad, who is a massive fan of Breitlings but has never actually owned one. So I can't wait to give him this watch, and he will be the first custodian in our family. Drawing this all to a conclusion, the question is, should you buy a cheap Breitling or any other entry-level cheap Swiss watch that you might find on the used market? Well, personally, I absolutely think you should. I still think when you look at brands like Breitling, like Tag Heuer, like Omega, like Grand Seiko. When you start looking 10, 15, 20 years old, there's some amazing value to be had in these watches. And as long as you go in with your eyes open and you know that quartz or automatic, you need to make sure that everything is as you expect it on that watch, and be willing to put your foot down and send it back if it isn't, then I think you'll be absolutely fine, and you won't end up spending nearly as much money as I ended up with this one. That being said, if you would like to give something a full restoration and overhaul and you don't mind putting the money behind it to keep it for many years to come, then like I said, Breitling's service centre was absolutely fantastic, and the watch came back flawless, no dust, no dirt, no debris, nothing, even under loop, which you'd expect for the price, but doesn't always happen. I know people with some pretty bad experiences with Omega and Rolex's service centre, and I myself have had a bad one with Glycine, but that's the story for another day. Anyway, please do let me know in the comments what you think about this budget Breitling, and if you believe there's value in the used market compared with going into a boutique and buying some of the watches brand new. How do you make that trade-off between peace of mind and warranty and an older watch which is going to be significantly cheaper and perhaps significantly better value in the long run? Please let me know. I try to reply to as many comments as I can, and I really enjoy reading them and hearing your thoughts. If you have enjoyed the video, a like would mean the world as a small channel, and a subscription too if you'd like to see more content like this. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers.